Welcome to the Single Mom Glow Up, the podcast where we're spilling all the tea on single motherhood, self care, and dating. I'm Bree Bree, your host and fellow single mom navigating life, love, and everything in between. Wherever you are on your single mom journey, this is the place where you will find real stories, honest advice, and a community that just gets it. So, buckle up if you're driving, and if you're chilling, grab your favorite drink, and if you are like cleaning or something, I'm just honored to be your cleaning vibe. Let's dive in. Hello, welcome back to the Single Mom Glow Up. This is Brie. I am a day late. I definitely wanted to record this yesterday, but due to a series of events, or I guess I've just been super tired, honestly. I didn't, but you're still getting it today. But before I get started on today's topic, which if you listened to last week's episode, today's topic is anxious attachment. And my take on it after years of studying it, even more years of experiencing it, um, I don't know. Based on what I've seen, it's a bit out there and a bit different. So maybe buckle up, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm just excited to share it with you. But before I do that, I got an email last week saying that I'm ranking in the Philippines. So I just wanted to say hello and thank you to my Filipino listeners. Um, I'm happy to have you here. And, I hope you stick around. Anyway, so here's the thing about anxious attachment. I thought that I healed, I'm putting that in quotes, healed my anxious attachment, but I didn't. And what I've realized is that for me, anxious attachment is more like a disability than it is a wound. It can't necessarily be healed, right? But it can be accommodated, just like a disability. And that's, I'm not sitting here trying to minimize anybody's disability. I don't think it's on par. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to get into that messiness. I'm using it as an analogy. Okay, so don't come at me for comparing it to a disability. It's for good reason. And let me just get into the explanation, okay? I think there is a lot out there about how to support or how to accommodate your avoidant partner and how they just need time and they just need space and blah, blah, blah. And it's true. But maybe it's like my algorithm or maybe it's confirmation bias. Um, but honestly, I think it's not really either of those because it's in the literature, right? Like I am a licensed professional counselor. I spent 10 years studying and learning. And a lot of it was about attachment styles because relationships and couples work were my main interest. So it could be my algorithm, it could be confirmation bias, but I rarely have seen stuff out there about how to accommodate your anxious partner, right? And so what I do see is a whole lot of experts. I'm putting that in air quotes too because I don't know. I feel like anybody be calling themselves experts. Like I am no anxious attachment expert. Maybe, compared to the average person on the street, I might be close to being an expert, but like what even is that comparison? I know some stuff about it because I obsessively studied it for a few years, but that doesn't make me an expert. Anyway, I see a lot of experts teaching anxious people how to not be anxious anymore and treating it as a wound that just needs to be medicated and healed. And then Anxious, if you hear the dog in the background, she's fine. She is fed. She has been out. She has everything she could ever need. And yet, because I'm not giving her attention in this exact moment, she is crying. So, and she hears me getting animated and she's like, but, but what about me? You know what? Maybe she's anxiously attached. I hope not, though. Anyway, strange tangent. So anxiously attached people get the responsibility and the accountability to change, whereas avoidant people get to just have their avoidance dismissed, and the people in their lives are just expected to be okay with it or leave. And that's what I see. Even now, like if I were to, I'm saying all this and my phone is right by me. So if I were to go on to Threads right now, because we don't use Elon's app, we use Threads, which honestly isn't that much better. But if I were to go on to Threads right now and, maybe I search anxious attachment, or because Threads tends to show, maybe this is me and my browsing habits, even though I don't necessarily seek this stuff out. Sometimes if it just pops up, I'll read it thoroughly because it's tea. But if I go into Threads right now and it might, I might scroll a bit and it might show me something where it's like, if you're anxiously attached, or if you're used to dealing with avoidance, here's how you handle an avoidant. And what I usually see, which is way better than what I used to see maybe like 3-4 years ago, what I usually see is something along the lines of, you have to just give them space. And, they get really afraid when someone gets super close to them, and they may push that person away, they may ghost or whatever. And you don't have to put up with that. Like, just because someone is treating you that way and you know why they're doing it and you know it's not from a bad place, it doesn't mean you have to sit there and take it, right? Which is true. That's not bad advice, right? Like that is the start of good advice, right? But then it usually goes on to say, and anxiously attached people tend to be attracted to avoidantly attached people. And then it flips things and says, you as the anxiously attached person need to heal what in you is attached to this avoidant person. And right on the surface, that sounds like good advice. But I don't think it is. And I'm about to tell you why. Okay, so in some sense, it does make sense. Like that advice, it does make sense. Because it is in us as anxiously attached babies nature, it's in our nature to fix, accommodate, bend over backwards, continue to do things that further confirm our abandonment wound. If we just do X, Y, and Z, then finally someone will love me. If I just learn how to not have as many needs, if I just learn to be okay with not hearing from someone for 5 days because this person clearly needs that time to pretend I'm not there to feel safe. But it's okay for them to need that to feel safe, but it's not okay for you to need closeness to feel safe. You see what I'm saying? If I just give a little bit more, finally someone will love me. If I just abandon my own self-care to make time for this person who barely makes time for me, but they are making time for me, so now I'm going to ignore what I have planned for myself, then finally someone will love me. Right? And so what happens is when someone says, hey, if you're anxiously attached, you need to fix it, or here's how you fix it. It's, if I fix myself, then finally someone will love me. It's the same thing, it's the same pattern. And I'm telling you, honey, it is a trap. You are worthy of love exactly as you are. You do not have to fix your anxious attachment the same way a sweet pea in a wheelchair doesn't need to just try harder to walk. Could you imagine that? Can you imagine someone being like, yeah, this thing happened to me in the past and it made it so that, you know, my legs do not have the strength to walk anymore. And so now I have this awesome wheelchair that helps me get from place to place. And someone's like, oh man, like you never healed your legs. Why didn't you try harder to heal your legs? Stupid, right? That's stupid. And here we are assuming that an anxiously attached person, that our emotional wounds can be healed. And I think a lot of emotional wounds can be healed. Don't get me wrong. Not everything is unhealable, but I think certain emotional wounds, it's not like some of them, they're like physical wounds. Some of them, you can slap a band aid on it and it'll heal itself with time. Some of them, you need to take the thing out, sew up, clean up the hole, like clean up the wound, sew it up, cover it, keep it clean, and it'll heal itself. And some of them are irreversible. The damage done is irreversible. You have someone stab you in the back, it may be impossible for you to ever fully trust someone again, depending on what they did, depending on how they did it, and depending on how your nervous system responds to it. Because that's a whole thing too. Everybody's a bit different. So why don't we apply these same principles to the emotional body, to the, even if you want to take it deeper, because I think some of these things do go deeper, the spiritual body, right? Like if something can be irreversible physically, why can't something be irreversible emotionally? And I think by not adopting that, I guess, I don't know, I don't know what to call it, that baseline or that way of seeing things, I think we do further emotional damage. The same way it would be absolutely absurd to tell someone who uses a wheelchair to try harder to walk. Someone who, uses a wheelchair for good, like, sometimes people need to use a wheelchair temporarily. Like, heck, I got wheeled out of the hospital when I had my kids in a wheelchair. I didn't need that thing, but I don't know why they had that policy. But that's one thing, right? Sometimes we apply that can be true for emotional things as well. Like, someone might offer you a hug, like, oh, do you need a hug? It's like, I don't really need a hug, but I'm not gonna say no. Like, yeah, I'll take that hug. Thank you. But if we apply the way that we view physical wounds and physical harm to the way that we view emotional harm, I think it would do a lot less damage in general. And saying, oh, this person has this and it needs to be, they just need to heal it. Like, I have done all of the things to try to heal anxious attachment, and it's not going anywhere. And you know what I realized? Actually, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me check my trusty notes. Yeah. So your anxious attachment, or, I mean, I don't really care about offending people, but I'm going to change the wording to take more responsibility here. My anxious attachment is an emotional, relational disability. Okay. I don't have to spend the rest of my life trying or pretending to function like a securely attached person. I don't have to do that. I could, right? I could sit here and try to pretend, but why would I do that to myself? that just does more harm than good. And more studies are coming out showing that, and maybe I'll find them, maybe I won't, I probably won't. I don't feel like it. But more and more research is coming out that shows that when we hold in our emotions for too long, they transmute into physical ailments. And I don't want to, I can't, not, I don't want to, I mean, I also don't want to, but not to break any, confidentiality or anything, but I have seen numerous clients who come in with some physical something, right? And they've gone to doctor after doctor, and all the doctors say, your labs are fine, everything is fine. It's just all in your head. And like, I mean, it kind of is in their head, but it's also in their body, because you can't really extract one from the other fully. They're connected. Our emotions um, make us not give off, although sometimes, yes, release certain hormones, certain neurotransmitters. And most of the time, those are meant to be temporary, right? But if you're in a chronic depression, let's say, and your body is releasing the neurotransmitters associated with a chronic depression, or usually in the case of depression, it's the absence of certain neurotransmitters that lead to you feeling low, right? And so if you have the absence of those, one, your body becomes accustomed to that. But to become accustomed to that, the physical chemistry changes. By you feeling depression for an extended period of time, the physical chemistry of your body changes. And the longer it stays that way, the I don't want to say the harder it is, because I feel like that differs from person to person, but it can be more challenging or more jarring once you get to a certain point to come out of that, because it's like, oh my gosh, is this what happiness feels like? And then sometimes you can like spike into anxiety because you're like, what is all of this? Right? And I'm getting off track here, but I say all that to say the emotions that we feel are usually meant to be temporary. They're meant to give us a message, right? Anger is meant to mobilize us. You're angry, you're meant to do something about it, right? Sadness, it depends on what causes the sadness, but it can be for reflection. It can be showing you where maybe you need to choose differently, right? Like if that sadness is sort of like a disappointment or a guilt or a shame, it's showing you where maybe I should have chosen differently in this situation. And now I'm feeling this way because I'm not happy with how things turned out, right? Sadness can also show you, what's missing or where your happiness lies. Happiness shows you what you want, need more of. Okay? Is that make nah, you can't answer me, but I'm hoping that's making sense. Okay? So if we were to, Lord, that was such a tangent. Where am I? Right. So if I were to sit here, thank you for putting up with my unhingedness, darling. If I were to sit there and pretend to function like a securely attached person, like, I can get close to it. And you know what? Actually, hold on. Let me check my notes. Yeah. All right. I'm getting into that. My notes. Y'all got me sitting up. I was gonna lay down. I was at the salon today. I got my locks crocheted, and they are looking wonderful. But yeah, let's sit up. Okay. So, like I said before, I have spent years and years trying to heal, air quotes, my anxious attachment. And sometimes it seemed healed, right? Like I read the books, I did the therapies, I acted, I pretended, I faked it, I manifested it until I made it. And I did make it, on paper, I met a partner who did not trigger my anxious attachment, which usually my anxious attachment starts the moment I have a crush. Before that, I'm like an elusive enigma. Like you cannot catch me. It's like trying to catch air. But if you say or do something that makes me develop a crush, it's like, well, here we go. What's that GTA 5? Is it GTA 5 where he's like, "Oh shit, here we go again." Something like that. So, my partner, my ex-partner, we were together for 2 years, and he was the one driving that whole like pre-commitment stage. I never lamented or I never wondered or worried or overthought anything because he didn't leave any room for that. His style of courting, or I don't know, what are we, wooing? Ugh, I hate both of those words, to be honest. But his style of that, pre-relationship, pre-commitment phase was like a wheelchair to someone. It was an accommodation, basically. Like, if we're talking about disabilities, it was accommodating to my emotional relational disability. Sticking with the analogy, right? He accommodated my anxious attachment, and I didn't even have to ask. And then when I started dating again after that relationship ended, I was confused and I was distraught when my anxious attachment showed back up. But I was dealing with avoidant people who were averse to accommodating my anxiety. They ain't have no wheelchair energy. And so here I was trying to essentially hide and overcompensate, and I resolved to fix my anxious attachment once and for all, to force myself to accommodate these avoidants so that I could experience the love and affection that I deeply crave. But this time was different because now I have very high confidence and very high self-worth because I am that girl, okay? Nobody can tell me any differently. And if they dare to, I just laugh because, bruh, look at me, listen to me, be in my presence. Like, God did not miss. Anyway, even though I felt that way, even though, well, yeah, let's just go with that. Even though I felt that way, I was still engaging with men who just ain't have the whatever to give me what I deserve. Whatever was going on. I don't know. I'm not even sitting here judging them or anything. They could have a lot going on. They could have nothing going on and just be, I don't know, F boys. But like, I don't know. You never know what someone has going on behind closed doors, especially when you're dealing with avoidance, because they won't tell you. So I wanted to compromise. I wanted to accommodate. I wanted to over communicate. I wanted to work together to find some kind of solution that would ease my anxiety and respect his need for peace. Not peace. I mean, yes, also peace, but space. But he, an avoidant who was used to his avoidance being coddled, couldn't give me that. So I called it. And this time I was able to see that it wasn't me. I wasn't asking for too much. And again, that's no shade to him. That's no shade to anyone like him. He is the way that he is due to trauma. And it could be disabling to him too. He could very well be thinking like, why the heck can't I just tell her what's going on? He could be thinking all of that. He could not be thinking all of that. I don't know. That's none of my business. That's not my problem. Or I don't allow that to be my problem anymore. And so I can say, hey, I need X, Y, and Z. I need, consistent communication. I need consistently planned dates. I need, what else do I need? I need princess treatment. I need obsession. I need possession. Okay, I'm intense, bruh. And I can get really persistent about it. Most avoidants are opposite in the sense that communicating any need is terrifying, or it's hard, or it's not on their mind, right? And that's where anxiously attached and avoidantly attached people clash, because I'll sit here and communicate and over communicate all day, every day, right? But the issue isn't that they don't understand my needs. The issue is that they cannot give me that. And that I'm not even going to get into all that, because I feel like if you're anxiously attached, you've probably already seen. You know what? I'll just give it a brief explanation. Someone who's avoidantly attached, it's not necessarily that they don't want to. Sometimes it is that, or sometimes they may feel like it's that. But it on a deeper level, where when they were little, they were abandoned, or, and I don't necessarily mean like physically abandoned. Someone could have been there for them physically, financially, but they were emotionally abandoned. And whereas anxiously attached people experience that, and they learn to kind of like hold on, quote unquote, too tight, or to hold on tighter, and to make a lot of noise to get their needs met. Avoidantly attached people do the opposite, and they learn to silence themselves and to be smaller and to keep everything to themselves, because that is what is safe, and that is how they keep themselves safe. Sorry for the weird cut, y'all. My microphone like cut off randomly during that. And I'm just now looking at the recording and seeing the difference. So hopefully the sound is good. I'll explain more about this at the end if I don't forget. But yeah, anyway. I'm practicing saying less, not for anxiously attached reasons, but because, I don't know, I want to know what life would be like if I just said less. Anyway. Yeah, so avoidantly attached people learn to kind of avoid, or that's the action that you're seeing on the outside, but their internal experience is more like hyper independence. Like, I can't need anyone, because when I needed the person that I needed most, aka it's usually a parent, but not always, whoever the primary caregiver is in those formative years, when I needed someone, they weren't there, and I had to figure it out on my own. So I will never need anyone again. That's avoidant attachment in a nutshell. And so a lot of avoidants will go to great lengths to maintain that safety, the same way a lot of anxiously attached people will go to great lengths to maintain the safety of connection. I've been manipulative, I've been controlling, I've said things to deliberately make someone upset, because I knew if I made them upset, the conversation wouldn't end, because at least they were still talking to me. I've done things like that before. And so while at the beginning I'm saying that, you know, you don't have to heal your anxious attachment and all of that, I'm not saying that it's okay to go around doing things like that, right? That is something that you should do your best to work on as much as you possibly can. What I'm saying is that even if you work on those things, if that feeling doesn't go away that drives you to that behavior, that's okay that the feeling doesn't go away. That's where it starts to feel more like a disability than something that needs to be healed, right? Like, going back to the wheelchair analogy, a common way that people can end up in a wheelchair is through some sort of accident, right? If this accident happens, and whatever happens, there's some blood that gets on your legs or whatever, right? You're not going to clean off the blood. You're not just going to stay in the state of that accident forever. Sure, you may not be able to use your legs fully or in the same way ever again, but you're also you're not going to carry the, if it's a car accident, you're not going to carry the debris of the car with you everywhere. You're not going to take the whole thing with you always. You can clean that up or have that, be cleaned up, and you can leave that behind, and you're just left with, okay, now my legs work differently or they don't work anymore. Same thing with the attachment style. Yes, you may not have received the care necessary for you to have a secure attachment. And yes, that's not your fault. But what we not gonna do is sit here and be putting our mess all over everybody else because it's not our fault. Therefore, it's not our responsibility. It is your responsibility. I'm sorry, but it is your responsibility. It's not your fault. It's your responsibility. I don't make those rules. That's just life, man. Kind of sucks, but so don't be doing all that. Okay? Or if you are, like I said, I'm not trying to shame. It's not a shame thing. It's all right, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to take accountability for it. I'm going to figure out how to clean this up. But that feeling may stay, and you have to learn what to do with that feeling. I thought I was doing the whole anxious attachment thing, healing wrong, because I would still feel just as strongly, and I still do feel do I? It's hard to tell. I haven't really been. Yeah, no, I feel it just as strongly as I used to. But I act differently now. Like, that's between me and me. It's not between me and the other person. It's not. Once I have communicated what it is that I want and need, and I may do it up to 3 times. I know some people that might be a lot. That's just where I'm at. And then if that doesn't work and things are still clashing and, they show no sign of change or desire to change, and it's like, oh man, I'm gonna have a good cry and end this. But it's like a real good cry. It's a strong cry. Not strong, a strong. It's a strong cry because the feelings are still there. Like, it still feels like abandonment. It still feels like this storm of just, I have to sit there and weather the thoughts of this is all my fault and I can't do anything right. I'm not lovable, da 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 da. And, now I'm strong enough, I'm durable enough emotionally to, like, it's just a storm, right? I need to have my little spiral or whatever, but it doesn't last long. I know it will pass. And then, once I'm done, I'm like, not lovable. You silly goose. Right? But it took me a long time and a lot of work to get to this point. So that's my wheelchair, as well as, recognizing and trying to recognize as early as possible, but also not writing people off for very minor things. Recognizing as early as possible if someone is avoidant, which can be hard to tell at the beginning. And I'm saying that as someone who used to study people for a living. So if you resonate with any of this, go easy on yourself, girly pop. Okay? This is not easy. It's not. Yes, I'm hugging you. Okay? So, gosh, I'm talking a lot, y'all. Anyway, what am I doing now? Instead of healing my anxious attachment, I'm accommodating my anxious attachment. I need structure. I need predictability in my relationships. I need someone who is obsessed with me and shows it every single day. And if you're like, wow, that's too much, no, it isn't, because that is what I bring to relationships. It's easy and it brings me joy to make the people I love and care about happy. And there are billions of people on this planet. I cannot be the only person who feels like that is easy. Therefore, I will find someone who also finds it easy, but just for me, or not just for me, but in that, relationship way, just for me. Okay? I deserve someone who feels the same way about me and their friends and family, but like, yeah, I don't have to explain myself. You get what I'm saying. I literally have so much love to give. And here I was just giving it to people who didn't know how to appreciate it. Sure, at first that's fine because I just like to share my love and shine my light. But too much into one person who's giving nothing back is super draining over time. And it used to make me feel like there was something wrong with me. So now I just save that love mainly for myself. I give extra to my kids, my family, my friends, but mainly I'm just selfish with it. I'm selfish with me. Literally, someone asked me out, or he asked me for my availability this week, and I'm like, I don't, I don't, I just want to hang out by myself this weekend. Like, I don't know. I have acupuncture, and I love seeing my acupuncturist, so, like, looking forward to that. But a date? Why? So we'll see if that happens. Maybe I'll have an update next week. But I'm just selfish with me, which is exactly how I'd want my partner to be, like selfish with me. Selfish, protective, structured, consistent, obsessed, rough to the world and soft to me. Will preserve my sparkle at all costs. Always make sure I'm good, checks on me often, makes me laugh, appreciates me, spoils me with plants, nails, hair, pretty clothes, takes me shopping just to see me smile, gives me foot massages, treats my kids and family well, encourages me, holds me accountable, is patient with me when angry or hurt or sad, plans for the future with me, surprises me. So that's something I can't really give to myself because it's hard for me to surprise myself. Although I do be forgetting, but not enough to surprise myself. Someone who invests in me, us, our future, does everything he can to make my life easier, takes me on cute little dates, keeps me safe. And I do all of these things for myself now. And when someone shows up and does it better, then great. But anyone coming in and not doing these things, those I keep seeing those videos on Instagram where someone's like, this is how quick I lose interest. And someone, what did I just see? A guy like sneezed and the girl got up and left. Yo, that's how I feel. But yeah, that was my little spiel on anxious attachment that I've been building up to for what, like 2 weeks? I hope it lived up to the hype that I gave it. If it didn't, I'm not sorry. So I have a couple of announcements before I close this long episode out. One, I would like to open up an advice column or just a general tea spilling column, or if you have like a specific question about relationship stuff, whether it's like general relationship stuff, like if I didn't explain attachment styles well enough today and you're like, can you do an episode on, or can you answer my question about attachment styles? You can submit it there. And then, but if you have like a specific question or something you want advice on specifically as well, you can ask that there. I just wanted to open up the floor for that. I made it so that there is an anonymous option. You can either email me, which technically isn't anonymous unless your email is anonymous, but like my email isn't anonymous, it's my name. So you can email it in, and the email will be in the description, but it's just the singlemomglowup@gmail.com. But I also put a website form in. And so if you want to do that, it does still require you to enter an email. That's something that I just couldn't change on the back end. But if you want to keep it anonymous, you can put my email, the singlemomglowup@gmail.com, as the email. And then you can put a fake name, and then you can just ask your question. Okay. But just keep in mind that you won't get a copy of the form submission, which is fine if you're regularly listening or whatever. And, I'll answer it. But I'll just have no way of contacting you or telling you, which I probably wouldn't do if I did have a way to contact you, because I'll be tired. I want to have this and do this, but I don't want it to feel like work, because the moment it feels like work, I won't want to do it anymore. But I really want to, like, I feel very called to just share my weird ass mind with y'all. And it's one of those calls that, like, if I ignore it, it just doesn't go away. And so I've learned to just follow those. Anyway, that's my first announcement. What was my second announcement? I should have started with it. It was something that I said I would allude to at the end. Oh well, I don't know what the second announcement was. Oh, Bibble. Maybe my notes will remind me. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, no, I think that's it. If I remember, I'll probably forget before I record next time. So, that being said, I'll see you next time, darling. If you resonated with anything shared today, join us in the Single Mom Sanctuary Discord server and immerse yourself in our amazing community of single moms. The link is in the description, and make sure to hit that follow button. Subscribe if you're watching me on YouTube so you do not miss future episodes where we'll dive even deeper into navigating single motherhood and glowing up in every area of life. See you in the next episode.